Good morning, everyone. Have you ever noticed how emotions run deep when it comes to serious relationships? For many girls, relationships aren't just connections, they're meaningful, vulnerable spaces where they place their hearts and their hopes. This isn't about weakness, it's about courage. You see, when someone cares deeply, they open themselves up to vulnerability. Vulnerability is the birthplace of trust, love, and intimacy. But it also brings the possibility of hurt. Girls often embrace this space with an open heart, even knowing it carries risks. They understand that meaningful relationships require authenticity and emotional investment. Vulnerability plays a profound role in serious relationships, shaping how emotions are expressed and understood. When we engage deeply with another person, we open ourselves up to the possibility of both profound connection and potential hurt. This duality of vulnerability is often misunderstood, but is essential to the emotional dynamics in relationships, particularly for individuals who may naturally or socially be more inclined toward emotional openness, like many girls. Being vulnerable means showing parts of ourselves that we might otherwise protect: our fears, our hopes, our insecurities, and our dreams. This level of exposure is a cornerstone of intimacy. Without it, a relationship can lack depth, remaining superficial and distant. Girls, often socialized to value and express emotional connections, may step into this space more readily, allowing themselves to be fully seen and heard. This readiness is not about weakness, it's about the courage to take emotional risks for the sake of something meaningful. Serious relationships heighten this dynamic. When someone cares deeply about their partner, the stakes of vulnerability become higher. This isn't just about sharing feelings, but also about trusting the other person to honor and respect those feelings. When trust is met with reciprocity, vulnerability fosters security and strengthens the bond. But when there's a misalignment, such as a breach of trust, a misunderstanding, or an unmet expectation, emotions can run high. This isn't an overreaction, it's a natural response to the disruption of something profoundly valued. Vulnerability also influences how people navigate conflict. In moments of disagreement or tension, emotions often surface because individuals feel their connection is at risk. For many girls, this emotional response is a way to advocate for the relationship. It's their way of signaling, "This matters to me." Let's figure it out. While some might perceive these emotions as excessive, they are often an expression of a deep investment in the relationship's health and future. It's important to recognize that vulnerability requires trust, not just in a partner, but also in oneself. Girls who embrace their emotions in serious relationships are not just trusting the other person, but are also trusting their own ability to handle the outcomes, whether positive or negative. This inner strength allows them to approach relationships with authenticity, even when it's challenging. However, vulnerability can be exhausting if it's not met with mutual effort. When emotional openness is one-sided, it can lead to frustration, sadness, or withdrawal. This is why understanding the role of vulnerability in relationships is critical. It's not about labeling emotional responses as too much or too sensitive. Instead, it's about recognizing the courage it takes to invest emotionally and learning to create a space where that investment is valued and nurtured. Vulnerability in relationships isn't just about emotions, it's about connection. It's a willingness to show up fully, to risk being hurt for the possibility of love and understanding. For those who embrace this, the rewards are immense: deeper bonds, richer connections, and a relationship rooted in authenticity and mutual respect. Emotional responses in serious relationships are significantly influenced by both biological and social conditioning, shaping how individuals perceive, react to, and navigate their emotions. For many girls, these influences intertwine, creating a framework that encourages emotional expression and sensitivity, especially in the context of meaningful connections. Biologically, hormones play a pivotal role in shaping emotional experiences. For instance, oxytocin, often referred to as the bonding hormone, is released during moments of closeness, such as physical intimacy or emotional connection. This hormone fosters trust and attachment, deepening the sense of connection in relationships. When this bond feels threatened or uncertain, emotional responses can become heightened. It's not merely a hormonal reaction, but a deeply ingrained biological mechanism to protect and maintain close relationships. This is one reason why emotional reactions in serious relationships can feel particularly intense. Additionally, evolutionary psychology suggests that human emotions have developed to enhance survival and social bonding. For women, this might have historically meant prioritizing the emotional health of their social groups and families. Over time, this focus on emotional connection may have become more pronounced, influencing how many girls today approach and value relationships. While modern life has evolved far beyond these ancestral roots, the biological underpinnings of emotional bonding still play a role in shaping behavior. Beyond biology, social conditioning is a powerful force in shaping how emotions are expressed and perceived. From an early age, many girls are encouraged to be emotionally attuned, empathetic, and nurturing. Society often rewards these traits, reinforcing the idea that emotional expression is a key aspect of their identity. While this emotional intelligence is a strength, it also creates expectations. Girls may feel an implicit responsibility to maintain harmony in relationships, leading to heightened emotional awareness and sensitivity in serious connections. In contrast, boys are often socialized differently, with emotional restraint sometimes being encouraged or expected. This difference in upbringing can create disparities in how emotions are expressed and understood in relationships. When girls express emotions openly in response to relational dynamics, they are not being too emotional instead. They are drawing upon a lifetime of learned and reinforced behaviors that prioritize emotional expression as a means of connection and problem solving. Social narratives also influence how emotions are perceived. Romanticized portrayals of relationships in media often depict women as the emotional anchors, responsible for understanding and managing the relational dynamic. These depictions, while often exaggerated, can shape real-world expectations, placing additional emotional labor on girls in relationships. As a result, when they invest emotionally, it's not simply a personal choice, but a reflection of societal messaging about their role within a relationship. Recognizing the influence of both biology and social conditioning is essential to understanding why emotions play such a prominent role in serious relationships for many girls. Their emotional responses are not arbitrary or excessive. They are a blend of deeply ingrained biological mechanisms and socially constructed norms. By appreciating this complexity, we can foster greater empathy and understanding, creating relationships where emotional expression is respected and valued as a vital component of connection and intimacy. In serious relationships, emotions often stem from the profound significance and meaning that individuals attach to their connections. For many girls, relationships represent more than companionship or shared experiences. They symbolize trust, partnership, and a deeply personal investment in someone else's life. This depth of meaning naturally heightens emotional responses, as these bonds hold substantial value and often shape an individual's sense of identity and purpose. Relationships thrive on connection, and for many, this connection is rooted in an emotional bond that provides safety and belonging. When this bond is solid, it becomes a source of immense joy and fulfillment. However, the very importance of these relationships also makes them vulnerable to emotional highs and lows. When challenges arise, whether through miscommunication, unmet expectations, or shifts in dynamics, they can feel like threats to something foundational. Emotions become a natural response to these perceived disruptions, signaling that the relationship matters deeply and is worth protecting. The intensity of emotions in serious relationships can also be traced to the concept of emotional investment. When individuals, particularly girls, invest their time, energy, and vulnerability into a relationship, they create a connection that feels uniquely theirs. This investment fosters a sense of responsibility and attachment. Consequently, any challenge or uncertainty in the relationship may trigger emotions not out of irrationality, but because the individual cares so deeply about preserving and nurturing what has been built. Another layer to this is the sense of meaning that many girls derive from their relationships. Societal influences often reinforce the idea that relationships are central to personal fulfillment, especially for women. While these messages can be limiting, they also highlight the value placed on emotional and relational intelligence. For many, a serious relationship becomes a space to grow, share, and create a shared vision for the future. When this vision feels threatened, it's natural for emotions to surface, reflecting the significance of the connection and the desire to safeguard it. Moreover, emotions in serious relationships often serve as a communication tool. They act as signals expressing needs, desires, or concerns that might not be easily articulated through words. For many girls, these emotions are not just reactions, but proactive efforts to maintain the health of the relationship. They might express sadness, frustration, or joy to foster understanding and connection, using emotions as a way to bridge gaps and strengthen the bond. It's also important to consider the context in which relationships exist. In a world that often feels uncertain and fast-paced, relationships can become anchors of stability and meaning. For many girls, a serious relationship offers a space to be seen, heard, and valued. This sense of belonging magnifies the emotional stakes, as losing or damaging such a connection can feel like losing a vital part of oneself. Emotions in serious relationships are a reflection of how much the connection means to the individual. They demonstrate care, commitment, and a willingness to engage deeply. Far from being a sign of weakness, these emotions are a testament to the courage it takes to love and connect meaningfully in a world that often discourages vulnerability. They remind us of the value of relationships and the strength it takes to honor them fully.